Hello everybody, I was asked by my good buddy Björn to do this, or one of this month's videos on console modding. I was like asking for topics, like what am I gonna do? And I mean I thought, so yeah, I already did a video before that was on, it was on like playing games on real hardware. That was kind of adjacent to this topic. I covered some of the same ground a little bit. Generally, like this idea that, I guess, so, yeah, maybe I'll speak about it a little bit more generally. Because obviously, console modding, I'm already veering off my script, by the way. I have like I have fucking notes written again. I've been writing notes, but I'm already veering off of them. So, obviously, console modding has so many different permutations. The thing that I'm personally interested in is like soft mods, just soft mods. Or like maybe some kind of hard mod, like basically anything that will enable me to play just whatever games I want on that thing, on the console in question. Because obviously, the older you go with consoles, the harder it is to attain some games. Like I have this case most specifically, I guess, with Panzer Dragoon Saga. I bought a Saturn to play it, and then also I modded the Saturn because obviously the game is fucking not affordable whatsoever. And like, yeah, see, we're gonna get into this as well, but like, obviously personally, I don't pirate games. Well, yeah, I don't pirate new games. I don't pirate games that I can just easily buy, right? Like, I feel like not being able, well, okay. Everyone has like their own reasons for doing stuff, right? I think, obviously you can make the argument you don't need to play the newest video game, right? It's like, from that angle, like, you shouldn't steal it, I guess, you know? Now it is worth saying, like, pirating a game doesn't necessarily fully equate to a lost sale, because, like, I guess the idea is that otherwise you probably wouldn't have bought it either, you wouldn't have played it either way. That was like, or like pirating is your only way to play it, you know? I guess we're talking about piracy as well, yeah, in this video. Personally, I don't fuck with it, but, like I said, there's so many complicated reasons, like, whatever fucking financial situation you're in. Obviously, I saw one sort of argument once that, like, just the idea that, like, if you're living with the bare minimum and you should be happy with that, that's kind of stupid. I agree. Like, obviously any human should, like, be able to have some kind of luxury, or some amount of luxury in their life, and, like, some amount of fun, and, like, fucking all this stuff. So that's why I don't come down super hard on it. Oh god, I forgot to talk about, like, my week sort of in general. I'll talk about it later. So personally, I don't pirate games, except, like, fucking old games, right? Like, old-ass games that you can't really buy, or even, like, you know, when it's, like, virtual console stuff, I would prefer to buy them, but, like, even then it depends a little bit. Yeah, I guess. So sometimes I had scenarios where I would buy a game on the virtual console, and then I would just play a ROM anyway. Like, I buy it on the virtual console just to have it, just to feel good about it. But then playing the ROM is just more convenient in some scenarios, or, like, better, or whatever. I think the GBA Virtual Console and the DS Virtual Console are both generally pretty good. But yeah, even the DS Virtual Console has problems with, like, proper image scaling and stuff. And then, yeah, ideally, like, you can use Nintendo's emulator, but then tweak the settings if your console is modded. But it doesn't work with games that you bought from the Virtual Console. You have to pirate them. So it's like, again, this like thing of like, okay. So generally, I guess, like I said, the bottom line is, yeah, usually I do buy even older games when they're available, but it's like, I can't think of an example of like a game that I could have bought digitally, but then I chose not to. I chose just to pirate it, just because I'm an asshole. I can't think of a game like that right now. Like, that's the, like, I'm thinking Mega Man ZX, for example. I have the collection. Yeah, I have the Zero collection. So I don't have to feel bad about pirating it, right? As a ROM on the Wii U, where it, like, plays better than in Capcom's official collection. That's part of the whole topic as well. Yeah. If you, like, physically own a game, right? Just this whole, like, people get so fucking, like, on this high horse of, like, oh yeah, I rip my own cartridges, I rip my own discs. Like, no you don't. I don't fucking believe you. I don't, like, if you're seriously saying to me, yeah, I don't download ROMs, I never download ROMs, blah blah, I do not believe you. I do not fucking believe you, man. Like, that is such fucking posturing. Like, nobody gives a fuck. Just download the ROM. Dude. Like, yeah, I mean, just like the equipment you would have to rip your own cartridges. Like, it's just ridiculous. Sometimes it is more convenient to just rip a disc, you know? Like, oh, perfect segue, oh my god. So the reason this topic is currently relevant, the reason Björn asked me to do it as well, is because currently I'm upgrading the hard drive in my Xbox. So I actually did that today. I actually finally replaced the hard drive. Not without some complications. I like needed a cable from eBay. The guy sent me the wrong cable. Got my money back, thankfully. Bought a new cable, got that cable today. So it's just been this elongated process. But then, like, just swapping out the hard drive requires all this fucking shit. You basically, so the DVD drive and the hard drive that's already inside the Xbox, they're both connected to the console with the same cable. So what you need to do is you need to, while the console is on, replace the DVD drive with the new hard drive that you want to upgrade to, which is called a hot swap, right? Hot swap, you're swapping it while the console is hot, right? While the electricity is, like, going, and that will allow the console to see your hard drive. The console needs to be already soft modded by that point. It needs to be able to run your own software. And once you do that, if you do it properly, you can clone the hard drive. And then, obviously, the first couple times it didn't do properly, and then you have to, like, wait a little bit, and it's just so fucking annoying. And then, when I went to finally screw the console shut again, I made a little tear in the cable. Like, a tiny tear at, like, the edge of the cable. And I'm like, fuck. It still works, but it's just it stresses me out really hard. Like, it's really not a big tear. And, like, clearly, like, the game is load, everything's fine. I'm currently, like, the console's on. I'm transferring games to it right now over FTP with a LAN cable from my PC. And that's going great. It's gonna take, well, we're halfway done now. And it's saying it's still gonna need, like, a little over an hour. Yeah, it needed, like, an hour 13 minutes. It still needs, like, an hour 20 minutes. Just about. And it's like 160 gigabytes of games. The hard drive itself was like 500. Shit. What the fuck did I say? Yeah, so everything's working fine, but still the cable stresses me out. So I bought another one just now, just before I started recording here. and I'm gonna replace it once it gets here. And then I'm gonna have peace of mind. I know this is probably super unnecessary, but I just want to be like safe and sure about everything. Yeah. But like, I'm glad it's working. And just like having so much space is really nice. The Xbox, you can play burned games on it, but like burning games is just kind of stupid. It's like always such a hassle, and like there's so many complications with it. Fuck, I have so much shit to talk about with the PlayStation 1. Oh my god, the PlayStation 1, dude. That console was like a fucking nightmare. But yeah, Xbox, I've had it modded for years. But I always had this problem that, number one, I didn't have good video cables. We can talk about that as well. And number two, I didn't have a big hard drive, so I could only fit like so many games. I wanted to play Halo again recently, and I always hear that the original Xbox version is still the best. So I'm like, okay, you know, I wanted to play it, and then I realized, oh fuck, my hard drive is too small. So yeah, that's coupled with the fact that I got finally good video cables for the Xbox, or like a good video cable solution for the Xbox, is what motivated this whole thing. I'm finally at the end of my journey. God, dude. Like, I had such a phase when I was like 15 where I was buying hella Xbox games. I think I already talked about that in the retro games video. But like, I didn't have good cables. Earlier this year, in this crazy year that we're in, the store, this like store from I think it's Switzerland. Yeah, I think it was from Switzerland. They came up with this adapter. You plug it into your Xbox, and then into the adapter you plug in a Wii component cable, and that will let you, you know, output component to your fucking whatever, to your TV, to your upscaler. And it's fucking best, and like, oh my god, this is like the best image quality that I've personally ever seen on the Xbox. You should know that, yeah, getting real Xbox component cables, like from Microsoft, or the Monster cables, are supposed to be pretty good. It's very difficult to get those. They're very expensive, and like, pretty rare as well. I know people just, you know, they tend to buy them from Japan and stuff. Personally, over the years, I've had 2 separate Xbox component cables, and they were both cheap and not very well made, and, yeah, they had, like, this issue. I mean, the image quality was, like, not the worst, but it wasn't great either. Hang on. I need to look at my monitor. Fuck, I spilled milk over my keyboard, over my new fucking Ducky mechanical keyboard last night. Clean it immediately, it seems fine. Like, removed most of the keycaps and cleaned them individually and stuff. It was not that much milk, thankfully. Had to clean my mouse pad as well. Oh my god, it was such a nightmare. Like, the keys don't seem sticky, thankfully. I was definitely super worried about that, but like, it's fine. I just bought this thing and it's so fucking, like, ugh. Anyway. What the fuck did I want to say? Yeah, so component cables, they had this problem that the image would just cut out, like, sometimes every 10 minutes, sometimes every half hour, sometimes every 5 minutes. That was already very irritating, but then I got this HDMI adapter. It's just components HDMI. And it doesn't do anything to the image. It just outputs it. It doesn't add any lag, it doesn't try to improve the quality. When you see those adapters, you always assume that they're shit. But like, I watched a retro RGB video recently where they said, yeah, no, actually they're pretty good. You can actually use those if you don't have component input on your TV. I do have component input on my TV, but not on my capture card. And that's what I got this adapter for. So I can finally capture Xbox games and like stream Xbox games. So we're gonna stream some Xbox games soon. I'm not sure, like, yeah, that's the thing with the hard drive, now that I have so many fucking games on it, I'm thinking, like, dude, we're just gonna, like, do a big fucking bundle of games in one stream. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah. And, like, it's gonna be 480p, it's gonna look really awesome. It would look even better if I had an OSSC, which is, an upscaler, or a line doubler, I should say. Or a line multiplier. That's even more accurate because it doesn't just double the lines. It like can triple them as well. I have a retro tank, which is basically it's like the mini OSSC, right? It's the exact same idea, but like not as high. It doesn't go higher than 480p. And that's the thing, like, if I have a 480p game, like from the Xbox or the Wii, I could put those in the OSSC and then double it to 960p and it would look fucking amazing. So yeah, check out patreon.com/1magenta if you want to see that. So that's great. Like, that I'm finally at the end of, like, this fucking journey where, for, like, since I was, like, 15, so, like, for 10 years now, I'm trying to get good quality out of the Xbox A, and then also have, like, the convenience of having all of the games at my fingertips, and that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, this whole angle, like, for me it's important to be able to access, like, all the important games in history, without too much hassle, at the best quality. I think for some people, like, it's very easy to just fucking download a game, throw it in an emulator. They don't give a fuck, right? They just want the convenience of that. I do really care about accuracy and quality and all this stuff, though. I genuinely just think a lot of games will look and play way better if you're playing them on original hardware or with some kind of faithful port or remaster or emulation. Yeah, and that was always my goal, right? And I'm, like, with the Xbox, I'm there. I still need, like, 3 things, to fully complete my setup. I need to buy another Saturn, because I broke mine. I need a Mr. FPGA console, or FPGA computer. I'll talk about FPGAs and what they are in another video. I think, like, once I get the Mr., I'll talk about it. But, like, basically, the Mr. would take care of everything below, like, PlayStation 1, you know? So 4th generation and below, the Mr. would take care of basically everything, and also, like, arcade stuff as well. And that's fucking, like, just the thought of that is amazing to me. And then also probably an OSSC eventually. Mostly for Wii and Xbox, yeah. So yeah, I think I've explained, like, sort of my motivation behind wanting to mod consoles my whole life. The starting point for me with that, I think it was the same for many people, was the PSP. The PSP, notoriously easy to mod, right? Piracy super fucking rampant. It's crazy. Sony lost so much money. It's kind of sad. It kind of killed, like, I guess a lot of people bought the PSP to hack it and stuff, right? So it is a little bit of double-edged sword. I guess the thing with Sony is that they make more money on the software, you know, than the console sales, than the hardware sales. So I guess it wasn't really what they wanted. And then I just remember so many like following, like obviously, you know, I was like a teenager when the PSP was out, and like just following that and like the progression of it, like how they would always just try some new thing. It felt like every 2 months there was like, oh, we need to revitalize the PSP, you know, we need to like push the PSP, we need to do something to get people to buy it, and nothing worked. Like, there was like that one E3 where they like announced fucking a Resident Evil for PSP, and like there was Soul Calibur for PSP, all this shit. Resident Evil never came out for PSP. And then I think there was also supposed to be Devil May Cry PSP. That was like announced at one point, but like we never saw any screenshots, we never saw anything for that game. I fucking love the PSP. It's one of my favorite consoles for sure. Have a very nostalgic connection to it. I guess I'll back up and say, personally, I grew up with 2 siblings. Still live with my family currently. So we're still a family of 5, and we always used to share our consoles. And like we had this one sort of kind of second living room where there was a TV and there was like a bunch of consoles and stuff. And we would have to like, you know, split our times, like how we fucking wanted to play and stuff. And like at a certain point, I was, you know, as I was growing older, I was just thinking, you know, I want some privacy while I play my games. I don't want to fucking be so exposed in the living room and like always people coming in and being loud and stuff. It was always like the most annoying thing to me, especially when you're like sitting there and your parents make like dumb comments about like, dude, you've been fucking at the computer. You've been at the computer for the whole day. Don't you want to do something for school? That kind of shit, you know? Me and my brother, we both felt that way. My sister's not that much of a gamer. But like me and my brother, we would start to just take the consoles to our rooms at some point. Because we both eat, like, I think my brother had a TV. I didn't have a TV for a long time in my room. Me and my brother, we each had our own computers. But I was like I think I was the only one without a TV, for a long time. Like, if I wanted to play or watch TV, I would have to go to the other living room, which was right next to my room. But yeah. And that's why, sort of, before I had a TV, and like before I always brought my consoles into my room and stuff, having a PSP was just so fucking valuable. Like, just the PSP was such a flexible system. You had so much access to so many different kinds of games. And like, you know, like high fidelity games as well. And like PS1 games, shit like that. So for me, like just cuddling up into my room and like playing my PSP, you know. Fuck, man, I'm getting nostalgic thinking about it. Obviously, it was like fucking out of necessity, and it was kind of shit, like as a situation. But like thinking about it now, makes you kind of nostalgic. I think even then, I tried not to like pirate games. Like, yeah, I definitely remember, like, I bought Peace Walker, I bought Tekken, I, like, bought all those fucking games. There was, like, a couple games, well, even Persona 3 I didn't play until I had a Vita. I definitely pirated Persona 1. But also that's because it never came out here, so... Actually, wait, yeah, I did pirate it, but also I own it. Yeah, I bought it later in Japanese because it was cheap on the PSP. Holy shit. Like, okay, I'll look at my PSP shelf. I own GTA Chinatown Wars, Resistance Retribution, GTA Liberty City Stories, Persona 3 Portable. Yeah, P3P, I have it as a download, but also I bought it, like, as a disc, just because. Peace Walker, Persona 2 Innocent Sin, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Also Japanese versions, yeah. Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 4, Persona 1, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, Burnout Legends, Patapon 2, and Tekken 6. Those are like all the PSP games that I own, like physically. Oh yeah, I borrowed Monster Hunter from a friend, Monster Hunter Portable 2. Yeah. So that was my first Monster Hunter. I'm like thinking, what are some other games that I play on? Like, I was hella into Resistance Retribution, dude. That was the game that came with my PSP. I remember when it came out. Like, that's the thing. I was so into the PSP, right? I was so, like, following it and, like, I just wanted one and stuff, blah, blah. And then Resistance Retribution got all these fucking rave reviews. I was like, dude, that game was cool. And, like, honestly, I still think that game was probably cool. I don't doubt the fact that it was cool. I think it was cool. Like, if I played it now, it would probably still be cool. I think, I hope. God, I could be really wrong with that, but, yeah. Like, I got a bundle with that game and the PSP, 3,000. 3,000 low-key, still the best model. Well, I have a Go right now. My 3,000 got stolen, in school at one point, which kind of sucked. I then bought a 2,000 from a friend for a good price. But like the 2000s, I know it's a lot of people's favorite PSP, but the ghosting makes it like unplayable to me. The ghosting is just way too fucking much. I know the 3000 has this like scanline issue, this like interlacing thing, but honestly I didn't find it that bothersome when I had it. I definitely noticed it, but like, I don't know, dude. I thought like it was definitely preferable to the ghosting to me. I'd like to try it now, just to see what it looks like, yeah. Maybe, I mean, that's the thing, I'm way more sensitive to this stuff. That's also, I'm gonna talk about that. Like I said, I have a PSP Go now. I still have the 2000 as well, but I don't use it because the battery is dead. I guess the Go really is your best option, because the battery situation is so fucking poor on the PSP. Like, it's very hard to find a PSP with a working battery. And also, the Go can hook up to your TV, and then you can use it with a controller, and then it's like the best like PS1 machine, basically. So that's pretty dope. Fuck, dude. The only issue with the Go, well, I really like the form factor of the Go. Actually, I like that it's so small. I like you can just shove it anywhere. You just always take it with you. The real issue with it, in my opinion, is the storage. Because it comes with 16 gigabytes of internal storage, which is good. But if you want to upgrade it, it needs like very specific cards. With the regular PSP, with all the other PSP models, you can just use a micro SD. Obviously, you need an adapter for that. You need like a little, I think it was Memory Stick Pro Duo is what it's called, and you have an adapter that basically like lets you use a micro SD in that slot. And that's what I always use. It's perfect. But with the Go, that doesn't work, and it's just the fucking worst. And it's so like I only recently discovered that. I did not know this when I bought the Go. I only recently bought it. And, like, it kind of almost ruined all my plans with the PSP Go. Well, but, like, I also have a Vita, and, like, I'm super flip-flopping on which one I prefer. But yeah, I guess that's, like, totally besides the point. Fuck it. I wanted to pause the recording because I need to take a shit. After I take shit, I'm gonna talk more about the PSP, and then move on to other consoles. Oh my god, we're already half an hour in. Woo! Hold on, I'm back. So, like I said, did not use the PSP for piracy that much, really. I had like a moment where I had the Peace Walker Japanese demo downloaded on my PSP. There was like a leaked demo or something. that was like, just like demos on the PSP were pretty cool. It was just such an open platform. There was always stuff going on, and part of that was fucking emulators. Oh, yeah, and like PlayStation 1 games. Obviously, the PSP, interestingly, has PlayStation hardware inside of it, like original PlayStation hardware. So, it's actually like the most accurate, like PlayStation emulation that you can find. And the same stuff is still in the Vita. So it actually is better emulation than if you put like a PS1 disc in your PS3. It's actually more accurate on the PSP. And that's why like plugging a PSP into a TV is one of the best ways to play PS1 games. And like personally, I played a lot of fucking PS1 games on it. I played like the Resident Evil games on it, for example, for the first time. But like I very, very much used it for emulators, because at the time, obviously, I didn't really know my shit yet. I didn't really know, like, about fucking pixel scaling and, like, screen resolutions and all this stuff. PSP has a resolution of 272p, I think. Which means a 240p game fills most of the screen. So a PlayStation 1 game, or a Super Nintendo game, or a Mega Drive game, they would fill most of the screen, and that's great. Problem is, most of those emulators run kind of poorly. The PSP was not really powerful enough to handle, like, the Super Nintendo. There was, like, even N64 emulation on the PSP, but, like, even, like, obviously N64 emulation is, like, its whole own can of worms. I guess we can talk about that as well today. GBA emulation was surprisingly good. The problem is just more the fact the screen was not very well suited to it. If you wanted to play with, like, native resolution, obviously the window is just gonna be tiny. The game window is gonna be tiny. And then if you stretch it, obviously it's gonna look stretched, right? But like that didn't really bother me that much at the time. I did play with the bilinear filtering because it just did look better than like on even pixels and stuff. I think that was like the first time, honestly, the PSP was like the first time where I sort of became aware of this kind of stuff. Like, oh, if you increase the size of a pixel by an uneven number, then it's gonna look shit. That was like playing Aria of... I played fucking Aria of Sorrow on it so much, oh my god, dude. That was not my first time playing Aria of Sorrow, I already had it on the GBA as a card. But like, I played it a lot on the PSP as well. It's funny to think, like, we have stuff like the GBA consolizer now, which is like, it takes a GBA and like makes it a console, basically. Like, it puts a controller port in it and like an HDMI out. All this stuff. It's pretty dope. And like on that consolizer thing, there's like different screen filters, and one of the screen filters resembles the PSP screen, like the sort of the tint and like the color, like feel of it. Because the PSP was just such a popular way to play GBA games, you know, for a lot of people. That's pretty cool. I think, so moving on to like other consoles, another big one, another super popular one is the Wii, and that was like my next one as well. Because it was also very easy to mod, you just needed an SD card and like maybe like a copy of Brawl or something, and fucking everybody has a copy of Brawl, right? Honestly, I think the thing that encouraged me the most to do that was Project M. Like, thinking about it is interesting. Like, now when I mod a console, I definitely specifically do it to just play games on it, right? To like play ROMs, ISOs, all this stuff. Just because like getting all the games yourself is just way too expensive, right? Like on eBay and stuff. But like back then, I definitely did it more for like emulators and shit, and like mods and all this kind of stuff. So Project M, for those not familiar, is a mod for Brawl, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that makes it play more like Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think, honestly, yeah, that's also like one of those things where I'm like, huh, Melee was actually pretty fucking cool, you know? It was actually, that's where, actually, fuck, I'd like to play Project M now, just to see how it feels. Because, like, it does feel like Melee, but it does also feel like its own thing, you know? We're hot off the release of, Melee Online, right? Oh my god, Melee Online is just the fucking best. Oh, it's so good. I guess maybe that was, like, that's the thing. Loved Brawl as a kid. Then played Project M, then played Melee, right? And, like, I didn't have a GameCube as a kid, so I didn't play Melee, like, it's not the one I grew up with. I played 64 at, like, friends' houses a lot. But, like, and, like, Melee a little bit. But, I didn't really get into Melee until, like, years later, until it was possible to, and I think maybe that was the start for me. Until it was possible to just play GameCube ISOs on the Wii and the Wii U. There was always, like, attempts to do that. And then at some point with this app called Nintendo's, it became very easy. See, I just said, yeah, I'm transferring Xbox games over to my hard drive. And like now, for some reason, it's saying it's gonna take like 5 more hours. Which is kind of not very good. I hope that's not true. Now it's saying 20 hours. Well, it seems to be progressing. Maybe the timer thing is just bogus, yeah. Because now it's saying 10 hours. Now it's saying 9 hours. It's going steadily down. Maybe someone in my house is like doing something with the internet and that's why, yeah. Who knows? Fuck. So, finally had the ability to play GameCube games on the Wii, and I was like, oh my god, that's like opening up a whole world. And I think maybe that was why I started saying, okay, I want that with every console. I want, like, with every console, the ability to just play anything that I want, you know? And then I think I talked about the PS2 in the previous video as well. Yeah, the Xbox is such an interesting process as well. Well, before moving on to this other stuff, maybe we should talk about the Wii and the Wii U more. Yeah, the Wii, for me, was also a way to play emulators as well. I play a lot of Super Nintendo games on it. I think my first time playing Super Metroid was on a Wii. Like on a Wii emulator. And like it's how I played Chrono Trigger and all those fucking games, yeah. I'm like trying to think. See, oh yeah, I have a Super Nintendo Classic. That's my way to play Super Nintendo games. Not the best way, but one of the best. But one of the best, I should say. Yeah. That's how, for example, like the Super Nintendo Classic, hacking that. Like, I guess, so the point I'm trying to make is like, you just find yourself with all these like different devices. I mean, I mentioned earlier, for all people, it's just way easier to download the ROM, play it on an emulator, right? But if you go a tiny step farther and say, okay, I'm gonna mod this device to play this game, you're just gonna have a much better experience. And that was always my thing. Like, I always wanted to find the device and then find the way to like play the games on it, you know? With the Super Nintendo Classic, like, again, it's like, unless you have a real console or an FPGA system, that's like your best way to play those games, right? And really does make a difference, and really does feel better to play than like playing on a PC, you know? Yeah. So I had the Wii modded. The Wii, like modding a Wii, I mean, yeah, Wii is another case, like the DS or like the PSP, where piracy was super rampant. I didn't actually start fucking downloading Wii games onto it, though, until like a little bit later. Because, like, yeah, there's just some, like, the hacking on the Wii is super complex. Like, there's so many little layers to it, and, like, so many little things you need to facilitate for it to work properly. Yeah, like, the only app to load Wii ISOs for me was always a Wii Flow. There's this thing called USB Loader GX that's never worked for me at all. I need to put the games on an SD card, and then I need to, you know, play them via Wii Flow. And like then I use it for like isolated stuff, for like import games. Yeah, I have like a Japanese copy of Klonoa, for example. I guess that's another big angle, right? Like, you mod your consoles to play imported games on it. Especially if you live in Europe, like me, you're gonna be, you're gonna be sad with, number one, inferior versions of games. You know, games that run at lower frame rates with the whole PAL conversion thing. Not gonna go over that, but like, it's like, for all you Americans out there, it's just a fucking pain. It's just a fucking pain. Oh my god, it's the worst. Like, it's to where I basically, with older games, it just, yeah, like, thinking about it, because I live in Europe, and because I know, yes, so many of the versions of games here are so inferior, it basically means, like, I've stopped buying those games, right? Like, if I want to buy an old game, I need to import it, or I need to, like, download it, you know, because, it's just fucking impossible otherwise. Like, if you want to play it at a satisfying quality. Yeah. I think that really, like, if I lived in America or in Japan, like, it would be way easier to justify collecting a lot of games and buying a lot of games. I mean, I do buy a lot of games as it is. Like, I do collect a lot of older games. But, like, I have this whole ass PS2 shelf. My PS2 is modded. I can play, just import discs on it, or ISOs, right, that are on my hard drive. And, like, I'm just thinking, dude, like, most of the games on my shelf, there's no fucking reason to actually play them. Because I know I'm gonna have a better experience if I just, you know, start up my hard drive and, like, play them that way. Yeah. It's just kind of sad. And very inconvenient. But yeah. Imports and, like, fan translations, all this stuff, obviously that's, like, one of the biggest reasons to mod your console for a lot of people. Not just, like, accessibility in general, but, like, specifically for those kinds of games. I don't think, yeah. I guess this is where we're, like, so the Wii and the PSP, very easy. I guess after that, it's, like, to the point where the setups get a little bit more elaborate and a little more complex. With the Xbox, for example, you need a way to load your own save files. You need a way to, like, bring your own save files to the console from, like, a PC. You need to drag a hacked save file to your Xbox. And that's kind of difficult. Like, there is USB devices that let you basically plug in, like, a flash drive to your Xbox via a controller port, and then it's seen as a memory card, and that works. Problem is that your memory device needs to be of a certain size, or, like, it needs to have just certain properties. A lot of modern flash drives, USB drives, all this stuff, they will not actually work as a memory card for your Xbox. So back in the day, I had to get creative. I just used a PSP. I, like, had a PSP with just a tiny, and I guess we're coming full circle here. I had a PSP with a tiny, like, memory card, like 200 megabytes, something like that. So on the memory card, I had the save file that I wanted for, like, Splinter Cell, I think, and then put that in the PSP, plug the PSP with this USB adapter into the Xbox, and that actually worked. That was the only method I could actually do it. And, like, that's the thing, if this Xbox here, if it broke down on me, I don't know if I'd be able to, like, hack it again, you know? I don't think I have suitable equipment for it, you know? That was like such a fucking, like, I wanted to do that for such a long time. With the Xbox, it's especially relevant because if you live in Europe, if you have a European Xbox, you can't actually use the higher video modes, like 480p and higher, unless it's modded, which is super stupid. And yeah, you definitely wanna do that on the Xbox, right? It's like basically you can't get around it. And I guess the Xbox was also, piracy wasn't so big on it, but it was definitely a popular like modding console. And there's a lot of homebrew shit on it. There's like a lot of emulators on it. There's like people use it as like their media center and stuff. I think people, like, some people still use it as a media center because it's like just very convenient and very good. And like you have to think all these modern consoles, they don't even have like strong media capabilities. Like playing MKVs and stuff on like an Xbox One or a PS4 is such a fucking pain in the ass. It might actually be easier on an Xbox. Fuck, I had like, I'm like thinking right now, I had Die Buster, the sequel to Gunbuster. I had it downloaded at a super fucking high quality, and it was actually chugging really hard on my Xbox when I tried to play it. I now play MKVs just on my TV. Like that's how I'm watching Hunter x Hunter, for example. Just have a big hard drive with all my fucking anime on it, and then I'm plugging it into the TV and watching it like that. I haven't tried Die Buster on it. I wonder if it would run. That's interesting to think about. Yeah, but like, I'm thinking Xbox because it's modded and because it's so established. It like probably has like just an infrastructure where it makes a lot of those things easier, you know? Just all these, like, it probably has more media capabilities than a lot of modern devices, actually. If you're really super nerdy about that. And like the output on the Xbox is not bad, you know, if you have good cables. You get 720p. You can even get 1080i, which for movies is fine, right? Like, your TV is gonna deinterlace it anyway. And the extra lag is like whatever, like it doesn't, for movies it doesn't matter. So unless you want to do 4K, there's really no reason not to just use an Xbox, you know, an old Xbox if you have it. It's kind of crazy to think about. I never really got into like emulators on the Xbox. It didn't really seem better than like the Wii. In that regard, I guess, yeah, just like because it's such a 2000s thing, it's the information is a little bit harder to find, you know, than with the Wii. But yeah, PS2, yeah, on the surface it should be more complicated than the Xbox, but really it's not, because like soft modding PS2, you just really need the you need to buy a memory card that was hacked. And they're very easy to buy. Like, you can buy them on Amazon even. I got one on eBay for like $10, right? And once you have that, the PS2, like the FAT model, is already built for replacing hard drives and stuff. So that makes it super fucking easy and super convenient to do that. Like, unlike with the Xbox, I mean, I went through that whole process today and it was such a nightmare. Whereas with the PS2, it's like pretty much plug and play. Transferring games over is kind of a pain in the ass because you need to unscrew the hard drive every time. I guess you could FTP those games over if you have like a network adapter. I don't, so. Yeah. And the PS2, like, the PS2 doesn't really have a big hacking scene. It's really just, the thing that people do on the PS2 is, like, play PS2 games, right? There's still no way to, like, play PS1 ISOs and stuff like that, you know? On the PS2. Like, just the way those two modes on the PS2 kind of work makes it so that it's very hard to get PS1 games to run on it. So if you want to play PS1 games, you still need a PS1 on top of that. I think, yeah, PS1, I think if you get older than the PS2, soft mods become very difficult. That's honestly why I appreciate the N64, for example, using cartridges, because you can just get an EverDrive that way. So I have an EverDrive for the N64 and just fucking plays every N64 game. It's fucking so... It's so convenient. It's so brilliant. And, like, the games are relatively small size, so they will, like, fit on a small card. Like, I think recently I downloaded, like, a pack with every single N64 game. Haven't really dove into that. Dove? Is that correct? Haven't really done that, but I'm excited to get to that. I'm excited to, for example, play Majora's Mask on it. Like the first time I played Majora's Mask was on the Wii Virtual Console, and then later on the 3DS. But like I'm excited to play like actually on real hardware. Same with Ocarina of Time, actually. Yeah. So, but like yeah, with the Saturn and the PlayStation 1 specifically, like the Saturn actually is not that bad. Because it's not really a hard mod either. With the Saturn, you do need some equipment. You do basically need like an action replay card. And then you flash the card, you like put some stuff on it, and then it basically makes it so your Saturn can run burn discs. You still need to burn the discs, which kind of stinks. There's like now an SD loader for the Saturn. Once I get another Saturn, I mean I broke this one. I broke the one I had, which was very unfortunate, very sad. I still have my card, right? So I could still do the mod that way. I wouldn't have to repeat the whole process, right, of modding it. So that's good. Yeah, if you want to install, like, basically if you want to flash the card, you need to, like, do some shit with the Saturn. You need to, like, unscrew it and, like, do some stuff, basically. It's not that hard, but, like, it's kind of a pain. But then once you've done that the first time, once the card is flashed, you can, like, use the card on any Saturn, and then it just works. So that's great. PlayStation 1. Oh my god. Horrible. I hate it. Fuck. We have the PSIO thing, which is great, except it only works with models that have that port. I do have that port, so that's fine. But, the bigger thing is, like, you still need to solder some shit into your PS1 for it to work. So the PS1, it's like, it's impossible to play ISOs on it unless you have some kind of fucking hard mod. And that's why, I mean, the PS1 that I own, I bought it with a chip installed. And I can play burnt discs on it. Which is a hassle and not very convenient. It's a hassle, not very convenient, yes, so like, it's not repeating myself at all. Oh shit. Wait, my Xbox FTP transfer is fucking bugging. Hang on, I need to do some shit. Okay, I fixed it. So that's one thing, but then also, just like the lasers and the disc mechanism and all this stuff inside the PlayStation 1 is so fucking shitty and poorly made. Like I finally, so yeah, what will happen to you, so there's this thing called a spindle, right? The spindle holds the disc in place while it's spinning. And sometimes the spindle, when you remove the disc, it will just come off with the disc, right? By default. That's just sort of how Sony built it, right? It's not very robust by default. Recently, I finally got a replacement spindle made out of metal, and it's like super robust and super tight, and like it holds everything in place pretty securely. And I always thought that was the issue, you know, I always thought that like the disc is not spinning properly or something. And like I think most games do run fine on it. I did some tests with Klonoa 1. And like the FMVs, they run fine. They don't chop around. They don't stutter, anything like that. Which yeah, like that can happen on the PS1. Like that's the thing. Actually, yeah, if you're using if you're playing like not burned games, it's generally way rarer that will happen. Like usually, if you maintain your PS1 like somewhat decently, and you play official games on it, it will be okay for the most part. But like trying to play burned games on it is such a fucking nightmare. I got to the point, like I said, with Klonoa, where it actually runs fine. But I basically still can't play Dino Crisis 2 on it. I burned the Dino Crisis 2 disc. I think I burned it a couple times and just could not get it to like run well. And it's very frustrating, very annoying. I hate it. It's such a gamble, and I never know really if your console is okay. You know, it's just so fucking stressful to think about. You know, fuck. Yeah, is that all the consoles I've modded? Oh, dude, there's like the 3DS as well. Yeah. Fuck. You know what's interesting? So, every DS model internally has like the capability to play GBA games. And that's cool because the DS actually has the same screen resolution, or like a very close screen resolution to the GBA. It's like a little bit wider. Actually, no, it's a little bit higher than it's a little bit taller than the GBA. It's almost the same width, but the height is a little bit higher. But it's the same, like it's almost the same number of pixels, so this GBA screen fits perfectly inside the DS screen, with just black borders on the top and bottom. Now, going off of that, one might think, so when that's true, and you have like the DSi XL, which is just the same screen resolution but like really fucking big, wouldn't that be like the ideal way to play GBA games? And the answer is yes, except playing GBA games on it, they do not run well. They still have a lot of fucking issues. It's basically, so I mentioned, yeah, with the Wii and the Wii U, there's this app called Nintendo, where basically it speaks to the GameCube hardware inside those consoles to let you run GameCube games. And on the DSi XL, there is a similar idea. It's called GBA Loader, GBA 2 Loader, GBA Loader 2, something like that. But somehow I think the DSi community just isn't really there. Like hacking the DSi was not really a thing for a long time. I think it's also because on the DS, obviously you have the R4 cards. And for most people, it's just way easier to go one of those and then load the games onto that. And they weren't really interested in, like, you could run emulators on those cards. Obviously, they did not run very well, but it was possible. Yeah. So I think because of that, it's interesting to think about just how those communities grow, you know? Because of that, the DSi community was never really a thing. And that's why I only recently started people doing this like whole GBA business. And I guess it's still evolving, but like I'm not too hopeful about it, I guess. I'm just gonna wait for the Analog Pocket, which is basically an FPGA Game Boy. I do wish the screen, like on the cool thing about the Pocket, judging from Analog's other systems, it's probably gonna have interpolation, pixel interpolation. So what that means is like it can like selectively blur parts of the image to stop the pixels from like looking weird when you scale them up. So that gives you a lot of freedom to scale them to any size you want while maintaining a very sharp picture. It's not like, yeah, in emulators you usually have like a bilinear filter and like affects the whole screen. It makes the whole thing blurry. That's not what you want with interpolation. It's like a similar idea, except you make it so selectively that it's like, that you don't really see the blurring. If you've played Super Nintendo games on the Switch, they use the same thing. And it's actually, like, Super Nintendo games on the Switch, very good. Like, the emulation is very, very good. And yeah, with the Analog Pocket, you have to think it's gonna be the same thing, right? Even though the screen is not really a perfect match for the GBA, you're just gonna be able to like interpolate the pixels, and then it's gonna go fine. So that's cool. Just gonna wait for that, and then I'm finally gonna have my Game Boy solution, right, sorted out. I genuinely think a lot of those games just feel better when you play them on a handheld. Like, even just seeing them blown up like that, even when it's like pixel art games, like some of them just don't really work on a TV, you know? So that's gonna be great. But then obviously you can still plug the Pocket into a TV, and that's fucking awesome. I think, yeah, I mean right now my best Game Boy solution is like, I have the Game Boy player on the GameCube, and then for the GameCube I have like the software called Swiss, where it lets you run homebrew basically. But there's one, see, I'm going really like into the weeds here, but basically the Game Boy player is like, it's this thing that you put your GameCube on top of, and then it plays GameCube games, but you need like this disc, this official Game Boy player disc, to even like, so that the two devices like talk to each other, basically. So that's fine, except the software on the disc is fucking garbage. Even though it's native GameCube, Game Boy hardware, like it does a lot of things to the playback and to the image that are not good. Like it filters it weirdly, and like there's like input lag, and there's like stuttering, all this kind of stuff. So some guy came up with this thing called the Game Boy interface, and it's basically just a replacement for that software. It gives you a lot of options, and it runs the games like they're supposed to. And that's currently my best method to play Game Boy games. But like, it only works for me on a CRT because I don't have like component cables for the GameCube, right? I don't have a way to plug the GameCube like into HDMI. Yeah. I mentioned the GBA consolizer earlier. The problem with that thing is that so the Game Boy Advance, it runs at its own refresh rate. It's not 60 hertz. It's like a little lower than 60 hertz, I think. And if you were to output that to a TV, like you might have a couple problems. Like it might either stutter weirdly, or it might not work at all. So what the GBA consolizer does, it actually just overclocks the internal hardware to run at 60 hertz. So the games, like, it's smooth, but it actually runs a little bit faster than it's supposed to. And once I saw that, like, just the fact that, like, My Life in Gaming, I think they did a comparison where in F-Zero, for example, they run the game on a normal GBA, like a Game Boy player or something, and then next to that they run it on the consolizer, and like the consolizer at some point it like outpaces the, actually not at some point, it like outpaces the normal Game Boy very quickly. And like for speedrunning, obviously that's like not acceptable, right? For speedrunning it would obviously already be like not too much of a difference, I should say. I guess for my purposes, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but like at the same time, like now we have better solutions anyway for the GBA, so it's like, I'd rather, like, that's why I'm curious how the Pocket is gonna handle it. I guess since it's emulation with the Pocket, they have more freedom, you know? They can probably output at a certain refresh rate, but then slow down the games themselves to just, so that they're still the same speed as before. I think that like, it's probably gonna be something like that. Or, I mean, the reality is that most TVs now do actually support like pretty variable refresh rates. So yeah. Is there anything else I haven't talked about yet? My throat is sore as fuck. Holy shit. The 3DS is great. The 3DS is really great Super Nintendo emulator, like the one by Nintendo, the Virtual Console Super Nintendo emulator. You can put in your own ROMs, and they look really fucking good on that screen. It's 240p, it's like a perfect match. Yeah. Oh yeah, the 3DS also still has GBA hardware inside of it. But obviously, then you run into the resolution problem again, and that, like, it doesn't really look correct. So yeah, that was, like, never really my favorite way to play GBA games. Yeah. I guess I'd say, yeah. Oh yeah, there's the PS3, for example. PS3 actually has, like, a lot of layers to it. Like, you can, use Sony's PS2 emulator to play PS2 games on it. And then also play PS1 games on it. And, obviously, you can, like, the PS3 is odd because, and the 360 as well. I still don't have a way to mod the 360. I'd kind of like to. Because I think both the PS3 and 360, they do get into that territory where they do have some obscure fucking games that are very hard to access. There's like a fan translation, there's an English patch for the, like, the brother version of Nier on the PS3. For those who don't know, Nier, the game by Yoko Taro and Square Enix, and Cavia, it had actually two separate versions. One where you play as a dad, and one where you play as a brother. And the brother version was actually the original. It was actually how the game was intended to be. And actually, when you look at a lot of the subtext in the game, it makes a lot of sense. So what fans did is they actually... The brother version only released in Japan on the PS3. So what people did is they took that version and then just added the English script to it, and then made some tweaks to, like, change the references from, you know, father to brother, all this kind of stuff. That's the thing, I have it on my PS3. I always meant to play it at some point, but now we have, like, the remaster coming soon, so I'm like, maybe I'll just play that. Because the remaster does promise to be, like, a different experience, kind of, because there's a lot of changes. Which is both concerning, but also interesting, you know? Fuck, I wish I had a way to play 3DS games on a TV. I guess that's, like, one thing I'm really, like, lacking. I feel like that's a wish that's never gonna be fulfilled, really. Unless, I mean, 3DS emulation just needs to mature a little bit, I guess. I just hope... Yeah, I wish Nintendo would just port a lot of their bigger games to the Switch. I think that'd be pretty great. Just having the Ocarina of Time remake, for example, on the Switch would be pretty fucking awesome. Or, I mean, the one that I want the most, personally, is obviously Kid Icarus. Fuck, it's the best. Okay, I think I need to stop recording because my throat is fucking annihilating me. Oh my god. I hope this was interesting for you guys. I hope this was fun. I mean, I didn't really have a direction with this. I didn't really have a clear thesis. I just want to ramble about, like, console modding and, like, maybe get into the history, or my personal history with it. Hope you enjoyed. Still need to record the Mega Man Zero review, but honestly, like, it's kind of crazy that I'm actually kind of on time this month. What the fuck? I'll holler at you. Peace. Wait. Peace.